I wasn't supposed to see it. That's the whole problem. If Mia had just handed me her phone like a normal person, or if I'd looked away half a second sooner, or if the screen hadn't lit up with my name right when she passed it over, none of this would have happened, but it did. And once I saw it, there was no going back to normal. It happened on a Thursday night in her kitchen. She was making pasta badly. I was pretending not to notice. Rain tapped against the windows, one of her playlists was humming softly from a speaker on the counter, and the whole evening had the kind of easy, familiar rhythm that made it very hard to remember we were supposedly just friends. Mia and I had been best friends for 5 years, long enough that she no longer knocked before walking into my apartment, long enough that I knew exactly how she liked her coffee, I knew exactly which movie endings made her cry, and exactly what kind of silence meant she was upset but trying not to be obvious about it. We met because she corrected me in public. I was at a bookstore cafe explaining to a friend why the ending of some novel didn't make sense, and Mia, who was sitting at the next table with a tea she clearly hated, leaned over and said, "It makes perfect sense. You just wanted a different ending." That should have annoyed me. Instead, I argued back. She argued better. Then we got coffee, missed our separate plans, and somehow never really stopped talking after that. That was Mia. Sharp, funny, impossible to impress, unless you were being completely honest. Also impossible to get rid of once she decided you belonged in her life, which apparently I did. Over time, she became the person I called first. The good news, bad news, dumb news, the kind of small, pointless thing that wouldn't matter to anyone else. If something happened, Mia knew. That was just how my life worked. People noticed, of course, they always do. My sister stopped pretending about 2 years in and asked, "So, are you two ever going to admit whatever this is?" Mia nearly choked on her drink. I laughed and said, "There is no this." Mia smiled, but only with her mouth. That should have told me something. A lot of things should have. Like the way she got quiet every time I mentioned another girl. Or the way she always found some excuse to keep me 5 minutes longer at her place. Or the fact that every relationship I tried felt temporary in a way Mia somehow never did. Still, I never pushed at it. Maybe because I was scared. Maybe because having her in my life at all felt too important to risk. So instead, I came over for badly cooked pasta and let myself enjoy the version of us that didn't ask too many questions. That night, Mia was halfway through insisting she did not need my help with the sauce when her phone buzzed on the counter. She pointed at it with the wooden spoon. "Can you check who that is? My hands are a disaster." I grabbed the phone without thinking. The screen lit up. And there it was. Not my actual name, not Ethan, not even some stupid nickname like Disaster Boy or Tall Problem or one of the other things she'd called me over the years. It said, "Future husband." Maybe I stared at it. Actually stared. The room didn't go silent, the rain was still there. The speaker was still playing, the sauce was still bubbling like nothing had happened. But inside me, everything stopped. "Who is it?" Mia asked, still facing the stove. I didn't answer. Not because I was trying to be dramatic, because my brain had gone completely blank. She turned halfway, saw my face, then saw the phone in my hand. And that was the moment her expression changed. Not the playful version of panic, not embarrassment she could laugh off. Real panic. She dropped the spoon into the pan, turned the heat down way too fast, and came straight toward me. "Give me that," she said. I held the phone out automatically, but not before her eyes met mine and she knew. She knew I'd seen it. Mia took the phone, locked it, and stared at the counter like she could still somehow rewind the last 10 seconds by force. I tried to say something. What came out was, "That's new." She let out one short, horrified laugh. I can explain. That feels worse somehow. It is worse. Mia. She pressed her lips together, then looked at me with the kind of expression that makes your stomach drop, because you realize this is no longer one of those moments either of you can joke your way out of. "I changed it as a joke," she said too quickly. I waited. She exhaled. "Okay, it started as a joke." That landed harder than I wanted it to, because started implied it hadn't stayed one. And the worst part was, something deep in me already knew that before she said another word. The rain tapped harder against the windows. Somewhere down the hall, a door slammed. Mia folded her arms, unfolded them, then looked anywhere but at me. You weren't supposed to see that, she murmured. I gathered that. It was stupid. Maybe. That made her look up. Her eyes were bright now, I nervous, more exposed than I had ever seen them. I should have given her an easy exit. I didn't. What did you mean by it? I asked softly. Mia went very still. Then she laughed again, quiet and helpless this time. You really want me to answer that? I held her gaze. Yeah. She looked down at the phone in her hand, then back at me. And when she spoke, her voice came out so much softer than before that it barely sounded like the same conversation at all. It was supposed to be funny, she said, but then every time your name came up, she stopped, swallowed, and tried again. I guess I stopped thinking it was a joke. My heart did something deeply unhelpful. Mia, she shook her head once, like now that the truth was moving, she had no choice but to let it finish. Then she looked at me, cheeks pink, fingers tight around her phone. I said, You really want to know why I picked it? That question stayed in the kitchen between us, not loud, not dramatic, just impossible to step around. Mia was still holding her phone too tightly, like if she relaxed for even a second, the whole truth would spill out faster than she wanted it to. The pasta was probably overcooking. The rain was still hitting the windows. Somewhere in the middle of all that ordinary noise, my best friend was looking at me like she had finally run out of safer ways to feel this. I didn't look away. Yes, I said, I want to know. She let out a slow breath and gave me a tiny, nervous smile that didn't reach her eyes. That feels unfair. Probably. You always do this. Do what? Get quiet right before I'm about to embarrass myself. I almost laughed, but the moment was too fragile for that. Mia, I said, softer now. You don't have to protect me from the answer. Her expression changed at that. Less panicked, more honest. I know, she said. That's kind of why this is a mess. She looked down at the phone again, then set it face down on the counter like she didn't trust herself to hold it anymore. I changed your name after that wedding in June, she admitted. I frowned. My cousin's wedding? She nodded once. You spent half the night fixing problems for everyone else. You carried chairs, calmed down your aunt, found the missing cake knife, somehow made 2 crying kids laugh, and then you still walked me to my car because I said I didn't like the parking lot. I remembered that, mostly because she had hugged me before getting in and then sat there with both hands on the steering wheel like she had forgotten how to leave. And that night, Mia said quietly, I got home, saw your name on my phone, and changed it. As a joke. Because the thought came into my head and it felt ridiculous enough to be funny. I stayed still. She kept going. Then every time you texted me after that, I smiled. Her mouth twitched faintly. Then I stopped changing it back because I liked seeing it too much. Then it stopped feeling ridiculous. She lifted her eyes to mine. And somewhere in there, it stopped being a joke. That landed hard. Not because it surprised me, because it didn't. Because the second she said it, too many things made sense at once. The way she always kept space for me in her life without asking. The way she got quieter whenever I talked about dating someone else. The way nothing I'd ever started with anyone felt as natural as whatever this already was. I rubbed a hand over the back of my neck and laughed once under my breath. Mia frowned. That is not the ideal reaction. No, it's not that. Because if you're laughing out of pity, I'm leaving and taking the pasta with me. That got a real smile out of me. I'm laughing because I think I've been an idiot. Her eyes narrowed a little. Go on. I looked at her, really looked at her, at the woman who knew the shape of my days better than anybody, the one who had somehow become home so gradually I never marked the moment it happened. I think, I said slowly, some part of me has been doing the exact same thing. Mia went still. What does that mean? It means I kept telling myself you were just my best friend because that was the safest version of the truth. I exhaled. But if I'm honest, every time something good happened, you were the person I wanted first. Every time something went wrong, you were still the person I wanted first. And every girl I've dated, has felt like she was standing next to the real center of my life instead of in it. Her face softened, but only a little, like hope was there, just trying not to move too fast. And the real center was me? She asked quietly. Yeah, I said. It was. The kitchen went still, in that warm, strange way rooms do when two people stop pretending at the same time. Mia looked down for a second, smiling to herself like she couldn't quite help it. That is annoyingly good, she murmured. I panicked and told the truth. That's new for you. Feels risky. It should. I laughed softly, and this time she did too. The tension didn't disappear. It changed. It got warmer, lighter. And like the hard part had finally broken open. Then she asked, So what happens now? I stepped closer. Not much. Just enough that the space between us stopped feeling accidental. Now, I said, I tell you that if I'd seen that name 6 months ago, I probably would have gone home and stared at my ceiling all night. Mia smiled. And now I think I'm more upset that you put maybe. That made her laugh, full and real, the kind that always gets me. Oh, wow, she said. You picked that moment to get confident? I'm trying something new. It's reckless. I learned from you. She shook her head, still smiling, and looked up at me in that quiet, unguarded way that made the rest of the room disappear. You know, she said, I really thought I was about to ruin pasta and a friendship in the same night. You definitely ruined the pasta. That's not romantic. It's truthful. And the friendship? I lifted a hand, touched her cheek lightly, and gave her enough time to move if she wanted to. She didn't. So I kissed her. Soft at first. Careful. The kind of kiss that feels less like a sudden choice and more like finally saying something both people have already been living around for far too long. When we pulled apart, Mia stayed close, smiling in that stunned, quiet way people do when reality turns out better than the version they were afraid to hope for. Well, she whispered, that was worth the contact name. I laughed softly. It was a strong clue. You were never supposed to see it. Seems like I was. A week later, she still hadn't changed it back. That was the first thing I checked when her phone lit up beside me on the couch and Mia caught me looking. Still maybe? I asked. She smiled, slid closer, and rested her head against my shoulder. Give me time, she said. And somehow that felt even better than a yes, because that was the thing about Mia and me. Nothing about us felt rushed once it was real. We still teased each other, still stole food off each other's plates, still argued about books and movies and whether I was overwatering the plant she swore I was killing. The only difference was that now, when her name lit up on my phone, I didn't have to pretend my whole day got better because of it. So tell me, if you were in my place, what would you have done when you saw that contact name? Leave it in the comments. And if you like this story, don't forget to like the video. Subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next one.